Hello and welcome to episode 8 of my GoW 3 gameplay series. Today you'll be watching a Guardian game on Clock Tower where I'm playing on my own. On my team is a party of 4 and on the other team is a party of 2 together with a party of 3. I think the party of 2 do leave at some point, but they are quickly replaced by another 2 players. As for me, I don't really play alone very often, as to be honest I don't find it all that enjoyable. But I don't mind it every once in a while whilst I'm waiting for friends or something, which is what I was doing here. So I joined this game in the middle of a match on trenches, and you can actually see how that turned out in my Who is Bruffy 1322 series, episode 5. This game happened directly after that one, and it seemed to me like a bit of a competitive edge had surfaced between these two teams, who likely faced each other a few times before I arrived. Now it ends up being quite a good game, and a tense 2v2 situation occurs at the very end, although I'll skip the boring sections of it so it doesn't drag on too long. I'll also not show the first 2 rounds as I hardly do anything and they end up being over quite quickly, so the score is 1-1 at the start of the video. But this video marks the start of me talking about Gears of War Judgment. I did initially say that I planned to have another series dedicated to Judgment discussion, but it wouldn't have really worked given how close we are to the game coming out. So I figured I'd just add it to the end of my GoW 3 gameplay series. I expect most people watching have already seen most of the videos and information relating to Judgment anyway, so my plan is to basically go over all that and give my own opinion on it, and of course ask what your opinions are. My plan is to essentially make you fully prepared for Judgment by going through all the changes which you can expect to see. I'll go through everything from gameplay changes to weapon balance, so by the time you load up the game you already have a head start and know what to expect. It'll also be good to have a discussion about some of the more controversial changes to the game. And we're going to start off with the thing that most of us probably played first on Gears 1, the campaign. Now the campaign has always been a big part of Gears for me, and for Gears 1 and 2 it's pretty much all I did. Even on Gears 3 it was the very first thing I did. I imagine it will be no different with Judgment. So what's different about campaign this time round? Well, the main thing is that you're no longer playing as the hero that we all know and love, Marcus Phoenix. Instead, this campaign features Baird as the main character, with Cole as his friend and second in command, and takes place 30 days after Emergence Day, which makes it a prequel. The reason Epic said they did this is because Baird is a fan favourite and is the only character who hasn't really had his backstory covered in the main series. This I can't disagree with. Baird has generally always been my favourite character when it comes to the campaign, and to play as him throughout the game will be, I assume, great fun. He's always tended to be the one who's asked the most pertinent questions as well, such as at the end of Gears 3 when he asks what we're all thinking about the Queen. And with the presence of young Marcus and young Dom as multiplayer characters, I am expecting to see a few cameo performances along the way from some familiar faces. But alongside Baird and Cole we're also introduced to 2 new characters, Sophia Hendrick and Garen Paddock. Now Sophia is the standard female character which appears to be a mainstay now after the introduction of Anya and Sam in Gears 3's campaign. And before the Locust invasion she was training as an Onyx Guard cadet, so she's clearly got the stones to get the job done. Garen on the other hand was a member of the UIR, who were the other faction on Sierra together with the COG, and who the COG fought during the Pendulum Wars. He was saved from his home nation by the COG after the Locusts struck, and managed to persuade them to let him join to help fight the Locusts, despite technically being part of the previous enemy. So we've got some nice backstories to uncover when it comes to new characters, and the interplay between Baird and Cole should be interesting to watch as their friendship is in its early stages. But what about gameplay changes? Well, this time the campaign hasn't been entirely developed by Epic, but instead by People Can Fly, a subsidiary of Epic Games and creators of Bulletstorm. That means they've taken a fresh look at things and, much like other aspects of Judgment which we'll get onto in future videos, there are some changes. One of the main ones is a new smart spawning system, where Locust enemies will be different every time the same section is replayed. So if you die by pushing head on into a few boomers and decide to sit back and snipe the next time, then the Locust may not even spawn any boomers and instead employ some flanking tactics, with suitable beasts of course. This keeps the game fresh even when you die and have to go through a certain section again. And that's something that you'll supposedly be doing quite a lot in Judgment, since the difficulty has really been ramped up over past Gears titles in an effort to better match the situation that the COG are in. Remember that this is just 30 days after Emergence Day. The COG are still totally overwhelmed by this new enemy spawning up through emergence halls all over the place. The COG are basically out of their depth and are just trying to scrape by however they can. That's the kind of feel you'll be getting when playing Judgment. And I have to say I am looking forward to that. Supposedly missions are somewhat different too, with some horde-like defense style sections as well as balls out killing fields, adding some much needed variety to the fairly lackluster point-to-point Gears 3 style of campaign. Between the depth of the story, variety in missions and difficulty, the campaign looks like it's going to be something which is going to keep me entertained for a while. Add on to those things the presence of declassified missions, which force you to do missions in a certain way such as only using enemy weapons, and an interesting scoring system which rewards players for speed, style and efficiency, and you're soon looking at a very different and very engaging Gears campaign experience. No doubt this will be at its very best when on insane difficulty and playing with 3 other friends, but I am looking forward to immersing myself in the Judgment storyline on my own too, as I have done with previous titles. And really I think that's all I'm going to say on Judgment's campaign. I've gone over the main changes and what you can expect to see when you get started with it, and the rest I think is just a case of leaving you to try it out for yourself, as I'm sure you all will. And we'll all end up seeing how good these changes really make the campaign. I doubt we'll see it overtake multiplayer anytime soon, but with Beast and Horde no longer part of the game, it could end up being played a lot more than in previous titles. But before I go, I'd like to ask you what you think about the changes to the campaign. Do you give campaign much time normally, and do you think it'll be any different this time around? Obviously we're all looking forward to multiplayer, but before we get onto that in future videos, how do you feel about campaign? Let me know in the comments section below, and in the next video we'll be looking at all the multiplayer game types that are present in Judgment. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.